Welcome to Story Planet, where soothing tales help you unwind. Tonight's story is The Wandering Lens. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let yourself drift into the wilderness. Follow the journey of a wildlife photographer through serene forests and untamed beauty. Now, let's begin. The crisp morning air held the promise of a grand adventure as Maya packed her gear meticulously. Her small studio apartment was awash with natural light, the golden rays highlighting the carefully laid-out equipment on her sturdy oak table. Cameras of different sizes, lenses that gleamed like polished jewels, tripods, memory cards, and waterproof cases sat in neat rows. Each item seemed to echo her anticipation, a silent witness to her ambitious journey into the heart of the wilderness. Maya had dreamed of this for years. A photographer by trade and an adventurer at heart, she longed to immerse herself in the untouched beauty of the forest. This trip wasn't a work assignment. It was personal. She wanted to capture the essence of life in the wild, raw, unfiltered, and breathtaking, to create an album that would tell stories without words. The preparation was daunting but exhilarating. Maya ticked off items from her handwritten checklist, her pen gliding over words like survival kit, energy bars, and field guides. She had spent weeks gathering supplies, researching the seasons, and learning survival techniques. A stack of well-thumbed books on wildlife behavior sat on her desk, alongside a notebook filled with scribbled notes and sketches of animals she hoped to encounter. Her backpack stood ready in the corner, a testament to her determination. It was packed with essentials: a lightweight tent, a sleeping bag that could withstand sub-zero temperatures, a compact stove, and a medical kit. She had chosen every item with care, balancing the need for functionality with the limits of what she could carry. Maya's gaze lingered on a faded photograph pinned to her corkboard. It was of her late father, a passionate naturalist who had inspired her love for the wild. He had always encouraged her to follow her dreams, no matter how unconventional. "The forest holds secrets," he used to say. "If you're patient enough, it will share them with you." Those words had become her mantra. By mid-morning, Maya was ready to leave. She double-checked her camera bag, ensuring her precious equipment was secure. As she slung it over her shoulder, a flutter of excitement and nerves coursed through her. She didn't know how long she would stay in the forest, weeks, perhaps months. The uncertainty thrilled her. Her destination was a dense, sprawling forest known for its diverse wildlife and changing landscapes. It was a place where seasons painted vivid pictures, from lush greens in summer to golden hues in autumn, stark whites in winter, and bursts of color in spring. She planned to document it all, creating a visual diary that captured the spirit of the wild. The drive to the forest was quiet, the hum of the engine blending with her thoughts. Maya's small SUV was loaded with supplies, from canned food and cooking utensils to extra clothing and solar-powered chargers. The road narrowed as she approached her destination, winding through hills and valleys cloaked in greenery. The occasional deer darted across the road, a hint of the life teeming within the forest. By early afternoon, Maya reached the forest's edge. She parked her vehicle in a designated area where it would remain until her return. The sight of the towering trees, their branches interwoven to form a natural canopy, filled her with awe. The forest seemed alive, its rustling leaves and distant bird calls a welcoming chorus. Maya hoisted her backpack, adjusting the straps for comfort. She felt the weight of her gear, but also the weight of her resolve. Her first steps into the forest were deliberate, each one bringing her closer to the unknown. The air was cooler under the trees, carrying the earthy scent of moss and damp wood. She followed a narrow trail, her boots crunching on fallen leaves and twigs. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, creating patterns on the forest floor. Maya paused often, marveling at the intricate details around her. a cluster of wild mushrooms, the glimmer of a spider's web, and the vibrant plumage of a bird perched on a branch. As evening approached, Maya found a suitable spot to set up camp. It was a small clearing near a stream, the gentle gurgle of water adding to the serenity. She pitched her tent with practiced efficiency, securing it against the soft ground. The stream provided fresh water which she filtered before using. Dinner was a simple affair of instant noodles and tea, prepared on her compact stove. Sitting by the stream as the sky darkened, Maya felt a profound sense of peace. The forest came alive at night, its sounds a symphony of crickets, frogs, and the occasional rustle of unseen creatures. She listened intently, her senses attuned to the rhythms of the wild. Before retiring to her tent, Maya took out her camera. She captured the scene before her, the moonlight casting a silver glow on the stream, the silhouettes of trees standing tall against the starlit sky. These first photographs marked the beginning of her journey, a prelude to the stories she would uncover. As she lay in her sleeping bag, the sounds of the forest her lullaby, Maya felt a mix of excitement and contentment. The adventure had begun, and she was ready to embrace whatever the wild had in store. Dawn broke with a golden light spilling through the forest canopy, casting intricate shadows on Maya's tent. The crisp morning air carried the scent of damp earth and wildflowers, gently coaxing her awake. Maya stretched, her sleeping bag rustling softly. The forest was alive with the calls of birds, their melodies weaving a symphony that welcomed a new day. She stepped out of her tent, savoring the quiet energy of the morning. The stream nearby reflected the soft hues of the sunrise, its gentle gurgling a soothing backdrop. Maya's breath misted in the cool air as she brewed her first cup of coffee over the compact stove. The rich aroma mingled with the natural scents of the forest, grounding her in the moment. Today, she would venture deeper into the woods. Maya planned to move away from the beaten trail and immerse herself in the heart of the forest where the wilderness truly thrived. Her goal was to capture the intimate moments of wildlife that often went unnoticed. A fawn nestled in the underbrush, a hawk soaring through the open sky, the quiet rustle of nocturnal creatures retreating to their dens. After a quick breakfast of oatmeal and dried fruits, Maya packed her gear efficiently. Her camera hung securely around her neck, lenses tucked safely in their padded cases. She adjusted her backpack, ensuring it sat snugly on her shoulders, and set off with measured steps. Every sound, from the crunch of leaves underfoot to the distant rustle of branches, heightened her anticipation. As she moved further from the trail, the forest grew denser. Towering trees with thick, gnarled trunks stood like sentinels, their branches forming a cathedral-like canopy. The light dimmed, creating a serene, otherworldly atmosphere. Moss carpeted the ground, and the air grew cooler, laden with the earthy aroma of decomposing leaves. Maya paused often to observe her surroundings. A bright green frog perched on a rock caught her eye, its skin glistening with dew. She crouched low, raising her camera to capture the moment. The soft click of the shutter was barely audible, yet it felt like a sacred act, a quiet homage to the beauty before her. She watched as the frog leapt gracefully into a nearby pool, leaving ripples in its wake. Further along, Maya stumbled upon a family of squirrels darting through the trees. Their playful chatter brought a smile to her face as she documented their antics. The forest seemed to hum with life, every corner revealing new stories waiting to be told through her lens. By midday, the sun filtered through gaps in the canopy, casting dappled light on the forest floor. Maya found a shaded spot near a cluster of wild ferns and set down her gear. She sipped water from her flask, relishing the coolness as it quenched her thirst. Lunch was simple: a peanut butter sandwich and an apple, eaten slowly as she watched the forest around her. The tranquility was interrupted by the distant drumming of a woodpecker. Maya followed the sound, weaving through the trees with care. She spotted the bird high on a tree trunk, its vibrant red head standing out against the muted browns of the bark. Her camera captured the scene in quick, fluid movements, the telephoto lens bringing the bird into sharp focus. The afternoon passed in a blur of discoveries. Maya encountered a herd of deer grazing in a sunlit clearing, their movements graceful and cautious. She kept her distance, capturing the moment without disturbing their peace. She marveled at the intricate patterns on a butterfly's wings and the way sunlight danced on a spider's web, each thread glistening like silver. As the day waned, Maya began searching for a new campsite. She found a secluded spot near a fallen log, where the ground was soft and the trees formed a natural shelter. Setting up her tent felt easier this time, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. She gathered dry twigs and lit a small fire, its warm glow warding off the evening chill. Dinner was heartier tonight, a packet of freeze-dried vegetable stew, rehydrated with boiling water. As she ate, Maya reflected on the day's experiences. Her camera held hundreds of new images, each one a fragment of the story she was weaving. The forest had begun to reveal its secrets, and she felt privileged to witness them. The night fell swiftly, wrapping the forest in a blanket of darkness. Maya sat by the fire, its flickering light casting shadows that danced on the trees. The sounds of the nocturnal world began to emerge. The low hoot of an owl, the distant call of a fox, and the soft rustle of leaves as the wind passed through. Before retreating to her tent, Maya gazed up at the sky. The stars were brilliant against the inky blackness, their light undimmed by city pollution. She raised her camera one last time, capturing the celestial display. It was a reminder of how small she was in the grand scheme of things, yet how connected she felt to the world around her. Inside her tent, Maya settled into her sleeping bag. Her body tired, but her spirit invigorated. She reviewed the day's photographs on her camera, each one a testament to the wonders she had encountered. The soft hum of the forest lulled her to sleep, a promise of more adventures to come in the days ahead. The morning arrived with a pale golden light breaking through the canopy, painting the forest floor with streaks of warmth. Maya stirred in her tent, awakened by the forest's natural symphony, birds calling to one another in rhythmic harmony, the faint rustle of small creatures scurrying about, and the distant murmur of the stream she had camped near. She stretched, her body still adjusting to the rugged life, but her spirit felt alive. Stepping outside, she inhaled the cool, crisp air, her breath visible in the morning chill. The forest's scents, earthy, damp, and tinged with pine, were a refreshing start to her day. Maya brewed herself a strong cup of coffee, the aroma filling the clearing as she mentally mapped out her plan. Today, she would venture toward the denser parts of the forest, where fewer human footprints had ever been left. Her gear packed and secured, Maya began her trek. The forest's beauty unfolded with every step. The ground was thick with fallen leaves, their crunching underfoot harmonizing with the distant trill of unseen birds. Tall trees towered above her, their intertwined branches filtering sunlight into soft, dappled patterns. Each step felt like entering a deeper, more secretive world. It wasn't long before Maya's sharp eyes caught movement. She paused, crouching low, her hand instinctively reaching for her camera. Through the dense foliage, she spotted a fox. Its fur was a rich auburn, and its piercing eyes scanned the surroundings, alert and graceful. Maya adjusted her lens and snapped a series of shots, each click quiet but deliberate. The fox paused, ears twitching, and then disappeared into the underbrush as quickly as it had appeared. A sense of accomplishment surged through her. Moments like these were what she had hoped for. The brief, unguarded glimpses of wild creatures in their natural rhythm. As the hours passed, Maya's path became less clear, the terrain uneven and littered with roots that twisted like veins across the forest floor. She welcomed the challenge, knowing it was part of the experience. Her resolve was rewarded when she stumbled upon a small, serene pond surrounded by thick reeds. The water was a perfect mirror, reflecting the sky and the surrounding trees with pristine clarity. Maya sat by the pond, allowing herself a brief moment to rest and take in the view. She unpacked her lunch, a granola bar, some dried fruit, and water. As she ate, she noticed a family of turtles sunbathing on a partially submerged log. Carefully, she reached for her camera, capturing the idyllic scene. She imagined the turtles' slow, deliberate lives, their simplicity a sharp contrast to her own. Continuing her journey, Maya ventured deeper. The forest's ambiance shifted as the day progressed. The light became softer, filtered through layers of greenery, and the air grew heavier with moisture. She crossed a shallow stream, her boots splashing gently in the crystal-clear water. Nearby, a heron stood motionless, its long neck craned forward as it waited for the perfect moment to strike at its prey. Maya held her breath, capturing the moment in stunning detail. Late in the afternoon, she heard a sound that made her pause. It was a low growl, faint but distinct. Her heart quickened as she scanned her surroundings. About 30 yards away, partially hidden by the underbrush, was a bear. It was massive, its dark fur blending into the shadows. Maya froze, her mind racing. She had read extensively about bear encounters, and her training kicked in. Slowly, she reached for her bear spray, keeping her movements deliberate and calm. The bear seemed uninterested in her, its focus on foraging through the fallen leaves for food. Maya took a cautious step back, ensuring she maintained a safe distance. Her camera was forgotten for the moment, her priority being safety. After a tense few minutes, the bear lumbered away, its presence leaving an undeniable mark on her day. The encounter reminded Maya of the unpredictable nature of the wild. It was beautiful, but it also demanded respect and vigilance. As she continued her journey, she found herself more attuned to the forest's subtle cues, her senses heightened. As dusk approached, Maya searched for a suitable campsite. She chose a small clearing surrounded by tall trees, their branches forming a natural canopy. The fading light painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, and the forest's sounds shifted to a chorus of nocturnal creatures. She set up her tent, the routine becoming second nature, and lit a small fire for warmth. Dinner was a simple meal of rice and vegetables, rehydrated with boiling water. As she ate, Maya reflected on the day's events. The fox, the turtles, the heron, and the bear. Each encounter had been unique, adding depth to her growing collection of memories and photographs. Before retreating to her tent, Maya spent some time by the fire, her camera in hand. She reviewed the day's images, marveling at the moments she had captured. The fox's sharp gaze, the serene pond, the heron's stillness, they were fragments of a larger story she was piecing together. The night deepened, and the stars emerged, their light twinkling through the gaps in the canopy. Maya's thoughts drifted as the forest lulled her into a sense of calm. She climbed into her tent, the soft hum of the wilderness her companion. As she closed her eyes, she felt a profound gratitude for the journey so far, eager for what the forest would reveal next. The dawn broke slowly, its soft golden hues spreading gently over the canopy. Maya stirred as the forest's symphony of sounds gently ushered her awake. Birds sang their morning greetings, and the faint rustle of leaves suggested the quiet movements of animals beginning their day. Stretching in her sleeping bag, she felt the ache of yesterday's trek, but also the thrill of a new day waiting to unfold. After a simple breakfast of oatmeal and tea, Maya packed her gear and took a moment to plan her route. Today she intended to follow the stream deeper into the forest. Streams often led to unique wildlife hotspots, places where creatures gathered to drink, bathe, or simply bask in the serenity of flowing water. With her camera ready and her mind eager, she set out. The stream's path was winding, sometimes disappearing under thick vegetation and re-emerging in open glades. The water's gentle gurgle accompanied her steps, blending with the soft crunch of leaves beneath her boots. The forest around her felt alive in ways that words couldn't fully capture. Shafts of sunlight pierced through gaps in the canopy, illuminating delicate spiderwebs strung between branches, each one glistening like a tapestry of diamonds. As she followed the stream, Maya's keen eye caught sight of movement in the underbrush. She crouched low, her fingers instinctively adjusting the settings on her camera. A family of otters had emerged from the water, their sleek bodies gliding effortlessly onto the muddy banks. They played together with unrestrained joy, tumbling over each other and splashing back into the stream. Maya's camera clicked softly, capturing the scene in vivid detail. She smiled, feeling an almost childlike delight in their playful energy. Further along, the forest began to change. The trees grew taller, their trunks thicker and coated with moss. The air was cooler here, and the ground softer underfoot. Maya felt an almost reverent silence in this part of the forest, as though she had stepped into a sacred space. Her steps became slower, her senses heightened as she absorbed the atmosphere. She soon stumbled upon something unexpected, a cluster of ancient stones arranged in a circle, their surfaces etched with markings that time had worn but not erased. It was clear that this was no natural formation. Maya paused, her heart quickening. The stones bore the weight of history, though their purpose was a mystery. She circled them slowly, taking photographs from various angles. Her curiosity piqued. Who had placed them here, and why? The forest around the stones felt different, imbued with an almost tangible sense of timelessness. Maya knelt to examine the markings more closely. They were faint but intricate, patterns that seemed to tell a story. She traced them lightly with her fingers, feeling a connection to the unseen hands that had carved them. The discovery filled her with a mix of wonder and questions, but the day was pressing on. She made a mental note to research the stones when she returned home. Her curiosity a seed planted for later exploration. For now, she captured their mystery through her lens, hoping to preserve the essence of the moment. Continuing her journey, Maya's path led her to a grove where the trees parted to reveal a sunlit clearing. At its center stood a massive tree, its trunk wide enough to dwarf any she had seen before. The branches stretched skyward, their leaves shimmering in the sunlight like emeralds. Maya felt a wave of awe wash over her as she approached the tree, her camera clicking almost reverently. The grove buzzed with life. Bees flitted between wildflowers, their hum a soothing counterpoint to the bird songs above. A pair of deer grazed at the edge of the clearing, their movements graceful and unhurried. Maya settled herself under the great tree, allowing its shade to envelop her. She sipped water from her flask, her eyes scanning the clearing for new details to capture. As the afternoon wore on, Maya decided to set up camp nearby. The grove felt like a safe haven, its openness a welcome contrast to the dense forest she had traversed. She pitched her tent beneath the ancient tree and gathered fallen branches to build a small fire. Dinner was a hearty mix of rice and lentils, cooked over the flickering flames. The scent of the food mingled with the forest air, creating a sense of home in the wild. As twilight descended, the clearing transformed. Fireflies began to emerge, their tiny lights flickering like stars come to earth. Maya sat by her fire, her camera capturing the ethereal scene. She felt a deep sense of contentment, as though she had become a part of the forest's rhythm. The night brought cooler air and the soothing sounds of nocturnal life. Maya lay in her tent, the events of the day playing through her mind. The otters, the mysterious stones, the majestic tree. Each had added a layer to her journey, enriching the story she was documenting. As sleep overtook her, Maya dreamed of the forest's secrets, her heart eager for the mysteries that tomorrow would bring. The patter of rain on the tent's fabric woke Maya gently. She opened her eyes to find the forest bathed in a soft, silvery light, the morning drizzle casting a magical glow over everything. The steady rhythm of raindrops was soothing, a reminder of nature's power to nurture and transform. Maya smiled, pulling her sleeping bag closer as she listened to the symphony outside. When the rain eased into a light mist, she stepped out of her tent. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the fresh, earthy scent of wet soil and leaves. Everything around her seemed to glisten, from the moss-covered rocks to the spiderwebs sparkling with droplets. The grove she had camped in felt alive in a new way, as though the rain had breathed fresh energy into it. Maya brewed her morning coffee, savoring the warmth that seeped into her hands as she cupped the mug. She watched the clearing come to life. Birds flitted between branches, their feathers ruffled and damp, but their songs unbroken. A pair of rabbits ventured cautiously out from the underbrush, their fur darkened by the rain, but their movements playful. Packing up her gear, Maya decided to embrace the rain-soaked forest. Her waterproof jacket kept her dry, while her boots squelched softly in the mud. The camera strap was snug around her neck, and her bag was secured against the elements. Every step felt deliberate, the wet ground making her tread more careful. The forest seemed to hum with quiet activity. Streams of water trickled down tree trunks, pooling in natural hollows and nourishing the roots below. Maya paused to photograph these tiny worlds, fascinated by how the rain revealed the forest's hidden beauty. A single droplet clung to the tip of a leaf, trembling before it fell. Her lens captured its journey in perfect clarity. As she ventured further, she came across a small waterfall cascading into a crystal-clear pool. The water's roar was both powerful and soothing, a contrast to the gentle patter of rain. Maya knelt by the pool, adjusting her camera to frame the scene. The spray from the waterfall cooled her face, and she welcomed the sensation, feeling fully immersed in the moment. Nearby, movement caught her eye. A family of ducks paddled across the pool, their soft quacks barely audible over the sound of the waterfall. Maya's heart swelled at the sight, and she carefully documented their journey. The ducklings, tiny, fluffy, and utterly adorable, trailed close behind their mother, occasionally pecking at the water's surface. The rain began to pick up again, a steady drizzle that blurred the edges of her surroundings. Maya found shelter beneath the sprawling roots of a massive tree. Its trunk was hollowed out near the base, forming a natural alcove. She settled herself there, pulling out a snack to eat as she watched the forest through the veil of rain. It was a moment of stillness, the kind that made her feel deeply connected to the world around her. As the day progressed, the rain created new melodies in the forest. The drumming of droplets on broad leaves, the gurgle of swollen streams, and the soft squelch of mud underfoot all blended into a symphony that felt uniquely alive. Maya let herself be guided by the sounds, her path meandering as she followed the whispers of the wild. In the late afternoon, the rain finally began to taper off. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, casting beams of golden light that illuminated the forest in breathtaking patterns. The air was thick with moisture, and the scent of rain lingered, mingling with the sweet aroma of blooming flowers. Maya's camera clicked continuously, capturing the interplay of light and shadow, the glistening foliage, and the vibrant colors that seemed to have intensified after the rain. She found another clearing to set up camp for the night. The ground was damp but firm, and a ring of trees provided natural shelter. Maya pitched her tent and built a small fire to dry her gear. Dinner was a comforting mix of pasta and vegetables, cooked over the steady flame. The warmth of the fire and the hearty meal rejuvenated her, warding off the chill left by the day's rain. As twilight descended, the forest transformed once more. Fireflies emerged from the shadows, their tiny lights flickering like stars come to life. Maya watched them dance in the clearing, her camera capturing their ethereal glow. The night was cool and quiet, the earlier rain leaving the air crisp and clean. Before retreating to her tent, Maya spent a few moments by the dying embers of her fire. The day had been challenging but rewarding, filled with discoveries both grand and subtle. She felt a profound gratitude for the rain's role in bringing the forest to life, for showing her its resilience and beauty. As she lay in her sleeping bag, the sounds of the forest lulling her to sleep, Maya reflected on how much she had grown to appreciate its rhythms. Every drop of rain, every rustle of leaves, every fleeting glimpse of wildlife. They were all part of the story she was weaving. And as she drifted into slumber, she dreamed of the adventures yet to come, her heart full of wonder and anticipation. The forest greeted Maya with a misty morning, the fog curling like a soft blanket through the trees. She emerged from her tent, her boots crunching on damp leaves. The air was cool and invigorating, carrying the faint scent of pine and wet earth. Maya's breath formed small clouds in the chill, and she smiled at the quiet stillness surrounding her. After a warm breakfast of tea and oatmeal, Maya decided to explore a new direction. A faint trail she had spotted the day before. The path was narrow, barely distinguishable from the undergrowth, but it beckoned her curiosity. Equipped with her camera and a smaller daypack, she set off, eager to see where it led. The trail wound its way deeper into the forest, its twists and turns revealing hidden treasures. Maya's sharp eyes noticed the subtle signs of wildlife, a broken branch here, faint paw prints in the soft mud there. She paused often to inspect these clues, her imagination piecing together stories of the creatures that had passed before her. As she moved further, the trail began to change. The ground grew softer, marked by impressions of hooves and paws. Maya crouched to examine a particularly clear set of tracks. They were large and deep, likely belonging to a moose. Her heart quickened at the thought of encountering such a majestic creature. She adjusted her camera settings, ready to capture the moment if it presented itself. The forest around her grew denser, the trees towering like silent sentinels. Sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy, creating a dim but enchanting atmosphere. Maya's steps slowed as she immersed herself in the quiet beauty. She noticed the delicate ferns that lined the trail, their fronds still wet with morning dew, and the intricate patterns of lichen clinging to tree trunks. A sudden rustle broke the stillness, drawing Maya's attention. She turned slowly, her hand instinctively reaching for her camera. Through the underbrush, she caught a glimpse of movement. A moose, its massive form blending seamlessly with the forest. Maya's breath caught as she raised her camera, her fingers steady despite her excitement. The moose stood still, its dark eyes watching her with a mix of caution and curiosity. Click. The sound of her shutter was soft, respectful, as she captured the moment. She watched the moose for several minutes, marveling at its sheer presence. When it finally turned and disappeared into the trees, Maya felt a profound sense of gratitude for the encounter. It was moments like these that made her journey worthwhile. The trail led her to a small, open meadow bathed in sunlight. The grass was dotted with wildflowers in hues of yellow, purple, and white, their colors vivid against the green. Maya sat on a fallen log at the meadow's edge, taking a break to drink water and eat a handful of trail mix. The warmth of the sun on her face was a welcome contrast to the cool shade of the forest. As she rested, she noticed a pair of hawks circling overhead. Their sharp cries echoed through the meadow, a reminder of the untamed life that surrounded her. Maya's camera followed their flight, capturing their graceful movements as they soared and dove. She felt a sense of freedom watching them, their effortless mastery of the skies, a stark contrast to her grounded journey. Refreshed, Maya continued along the trail. The path narrowed again, weaving through a grove of birch trees. Their white trunks stood out starkly against the darker foliage, their leaves whispering softly in the breeze. Maya's camera clicked frequently as she documented the serene beauty of the grove. Late in the afternoon, the trail brought her to a stream. Its waters were clear and cold, tumbling over smooth stones in a musical rhythm. Maya knelt by the stream, filling her flask and splashing cool water on her face. She lingered there, captivated by the tranquil scene. The sunlight filtering through the trees cast dappled patterns on the water, and small fish darted in the shallows. Nearby, Maya noticed a cluster of wild mushrooms growing at the base of a tree. Their caps were a vivid red, dotted with white spots. She knelt to photograph them, careful not to disturb their fragile forms. The forest details never ceased to amaze her, each one a reminder of its endless intricacies. As evening approached, Maya began searching for a place to camp. She found a sheltered spot near the stream, where the ground was dry and flat. She pitched her tent with practiced ease and gathered wood for a small fire. Dinner was a simple affair, a packet of soup and some bread, eaten as the fire crackled softly. The forest's nocturnal chorus began as the sky darkened. Frogs croaked from the stream's edge, and the occasional hoot of an owl echoed through the trees. Maya sat by the fire, her thoughts drifting as she gazed into the flames. The day had been one of quiet discoveries, each step along the trail adding to the tapestry of her journey. Before retreating to her tent, Maya reviewed the photographs she had taken. The moose, the meadow, the hawks, the stream, each image captured a moment of connection with the wild. She felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing that her passion had brought her to this place. As she lay in her sleeping bag, the gentle sounds of the stream lulling her to sleep, Maya's thoughts turned to the trails she had yet to explore. The forest held countless secrets, and she was determined to uncover them, one step at a time. The day began to wane, and the forest took on a different character as the sun sank lower in the sky. Maya's footsteps were quiet on the soft forest floor, her path illuminated by the golden light filtering through the trees. The air had cooled, carrying with it the faint scent of wildflowers and damp moss. She paused to take it all in, her camera hanging loosely around her neck, ready for the moments that the twilight would bring. As she walked, the forest seemed to grow quieter. The chatter of birds softened, replaced by the faint rustling of nocturnal creatures beginning to stir. Maya's sharp eyes scanned the underbrush, searching for signs of life. A flash of movement caught her attention, a hare darting through the ferns, its pale fur blending with the fading light. She raised her camera, capturing its swift, graceful motion before it disappeared. The trail led her to a small hill overlooking a clearing, bathed in the warm hues of dusk. Maya climbed to the top, her breath catching as she surveyed the scene below. Deer grazed at the far end of the clearing, their silhouettes outlined against the orange and pink sky. A gentle breeze stirred the tall grasses, creating ripples that shimmered in the fading light. Maya's camera clicked softly as she documented the serene beauty. Settling herself on a smooth rock at the hilltop, Maya unpacked a snack and her water flask. She savored the moment, the quiet stillness of the forest interrupted only by the occasional chirp of a cricket. The setting sun painted the sky with vivid colors, and the first stars began to peek through the canopy above. As night descended, the forest came alive with a different kind of energy. The calls of owls echoed through the trees, and the soft rustle of leaves hinted at creatures moving unseen. Fireflies began to appear, their tiny lights dancing in the darkness like scattered stars brought down to earth. Maya's heart swelled at the sight, and she took her time capturing the ethereal glow with her camera. From her vantage point, Maya noticed a flicker of movement near the edge of the clearing. She focused her lens and spotted a fox emerging from the shadows. Its sleek form moved with quiet confidence, its eyes gleaming as it scanned its surroundings. Maya held her breath, her fingers steady as she captured the moment. The fox seemed to sense her presence, pausing briefly to meet her gaze before slipping back into the underbrush. The moon began to rise, casting a silvery light over the landscape. The clearing below shimmered under its glow, and the forest's nocturnal symphony grew louder. Maya decided to descend the hill and explore the clearing, drawn by the allure of the moonlit scene. She moved carefully, her footsteps deliberate to avoid startling any wildlife. At the center of the clearing, she found herself surrounded by tall grasses and wildflowers that seemed to glow in the moonlight. The air was cool and carried a faint, sweet fragrance. Maya knelt to photograph a cluster of flowers, their delicate petals glistening with dew. Each image felt like a piece of magic captured, a moment suspended in time. The sounds of the forest enveloped her, the hoot of an owl from a nearby tree, the distant howls of coyotes, and the gentle hum of insects created a symphony that felt ancient and eternal. Maya closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sounds wash over her. She felt a profound connection to the wilderness, as though the forest itself had welcomed her into its hidden world. As the night deepened, Maya decided to set up camp near the clearing. She chose a spot sheltered by a cluster of trees, where the ground was soft and the view of the stars unobstructed. Her tent went up quickly, and she gathered a small bundle of dry twigs to build a fire. The warm glow of the flames provided both comfort and light as she prepared a simple dinner of soup and bread. Sitting by the fire, Maya reviewed the photographs she had taken that evening. The hare, the deer, the fox, and the moonlit flowers. Each image told a story of the forest's quiet beauty. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment, her passion for capturing the wild reaffirmed with every frame. The fire burned low, and the night grew colder. Maya wrapped herself in her blanket, staring up at the vast expanse of stars above. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, its brilliance undimmed by city lights. She raised her camera one last time, capturing the celestial display, before retreating to her tent. Inside, she lay in her sleeping bag, the sounds of the forest lulling her toward sleep. The distant call of an owl and the gentle rustle of leaves were a comforting backdrop, a reminder that she was part of something far greater than herself. As her eyes closed, Maya felt a profound sense of peace, her heart full of gratitude for the wonders she had witnessed. Tomorrow would bring new trails, new discoveries, and new stories to tell. For now, she let herself drift into slumber, cradled by the rhythm of the wilderness and the promise of adventures yet to come. The morning began with a soft chill, the forest still cloaked in the remnants of the night. Dew clung to leaves, and the air smelled of moss and damp earth. Maya emerged from her tent, her breath visible in the cool air. The dawn light painted the horizon with streaks of orange and lavender, promising a clear day ahead. She brewed her morning coffee, the rich aroma blending with the forest's natural scents. Sipping the warm liquid, Maya studied her map. Today, she intended to explore an unmarked part of the forest, a region hinted at by locals as the Whispering Woods. It was said to hold ancient trees, unique wildlife, and an eerie, captivating stillness. Intrigued, Maya packed her gear and set off, her steps confident yet careful. The trail soon disappeared, replaced by dense underbrush and towering trees whose gnarled branches stretched like arms. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in fragmented beams, casting patterns on the forest floor. The deeper Maya ventured, the more the forest seemed to change. The sounds grew softer, the usual chatter of birds replaced by a hushed quiet. Even her footsteps felt muted, absorbed by the moss-covered ground. Maya paused to adjust her camera, her fingers brushing against the cool metal of the lens. A faint rustling to her right caught her attention. She turned slowly, her heart quickening. Peering through the dense foliage, she spotted a lynx, its sleek, spotted coat blending seamlessly with the shadows. The animal's golden eyes locked onto hers, a moment of mutual curiosity and respect passing between them. Maya raised her camera, capturing the lynx's poised elegance before it slinked silently into the underbrush. The encounter left Maya in awe. She whispered a quiet thank you to the forest, acknowledging its gift. Each step deeper into the whispering woods felt like stepping into another world. The trees grew taller, their trunks thick with age. Vines twisted around branches, and the ground was scattered with mushrooms in vibrant shades of red, yellow, and white. Maya photographed it all, her lens documenting the forest's quiet grandeur. Midday came, and Maya found a small clearing surrounded by towering trees. The sunlight poured in, illuminating a carpet of wildflowers in hues of blue and violet. She sat on a fallen log, pulling out her lunch of bread, cheese, and dried fruit. As she ate, she listened to the forest's faint sounds, the distant rustle of leaves, the soft hum of insects, and the occasional crack of a twig. It was a symphony of subtlety, a reminder of the wild's rhythm. Continuing her journey, Maya noticed something unusual. The forest's stillness seemed to deepen, the air heavier with an almost tangible silence. She stopped, her senses heightened. Ahead, a massive tree stood apart from the others, its trunk carved with intricate markings that looked ancient. The patterns resembled flowing lines and symbols, their meanings lost to time. Maya approached cautiously, her camera capturing every detail. She ran her fingers lightly over the carvings, the grooves worn smooth by age. This was a place of significance, though its story remained a mystery. Sitting beneath the tree, she felt a profound sense of connection, as though the forest itself was sharing its secrets. The afternoon light began to fade, casting long shadows across the forest floor. Maya decided to head back toward her camp, her thoughts filled with the day's discoveries. The path seemed different on her return, the shifting light transforming familiar landmarks into something new. She welcomed the sense of mystery, knowing it was part of the forest's charm. As dusk settled, Maya reached her campsite. She set up her tent quickly, the growing darkness urging her to finish before night fully enveloped the woods. A small fire crackled to life, its warm glow a comforting presence in the shadowy clearing. Dinner was a simple stew, its aroma mingling with the scent of burning wood. Sitting by the fire, Maya reflected on the whispering woods. The lynx, the ancient tree, the profound stillness, each element felt like a piece of a larger puzzle. She reviewed her photographs, marveling at the beauty she had captured. Each image was a fragment of the story she was weaving, a testament to the forest's timeless allure. The night was cool and quiet, the fire's embers glowing softly as Maya prepared to sleep. Inside her tent, she lay in her sleeping bag, her thoughts drifting. The forest's whispers seemed to linger, a reminder of its mysteries and the journey still ahead. As she closed her eyes, Maya felt a sense of peace, her heart eager for what tomorrow might reveal. The morning arrived quietly, the forest shrouded in a soft mist that blurred the lines between the trees and sky. Maya stepped out of her tent, her boots pressing into the dew-soaked ground. The air was crisp and invigorating, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and the lingering dampness from the mist. She stretched, feeling the comforting ache of her muscles from the days of exploration. Breakfast was a simple affair, granola with dried berries and a steaming cup of tea. As she ate, Maya reviewed her map, tracing her finger over the areas she had yet to explore. Today, she would push further into the uncharted parts of the forest, where even the faintest trails disappeared, leaving only the raw wilderness. Packing her gear, Maya set off. The deeper she ventured, the more the forest seemed to close in around her. Towering trees with moss-covered trunks loomed like ancient guardians, their branches forming a dense canopy that allowed only fragments of sunlight to filter through. The forest floor was a patchwork of fallen leaves, tangled roots, and vibrant fungi. Each step felt like a journey into a realm untouched by time. As she moved, Maya's sharp eyes caught the subtle signs of wildlife. A pile of freshly turned earth suggested the presence of wild boars, and claw marks on a tree hinted at a bear's recent visit. The thrill of these discoveries spurred her on, her camera always at the ready. Every sound, the distant snap of a twig, the flutter of wings, the rustle of leaves, kept her senses heightened. Around midday, she stumbled upon a small stream winding its way through the forest. The water was crystal clear, reflecting the green of the overhanging branches. Maya knelt by the stream, refilling her flask and splashing the cool water on her face. The forest felt alive here, its rhythms harmonizing with the gentle gurgle of the stream. She lingered, capturing the play of light and shadow on the water's surface with her camera. As the day progressed, the forest revealed its hidden wonders. Maya encountered a flock of birds with iridescent feathers, their colors shifting with the light. She followed them for a while, their melodic calls filling the air. Later, she found a small clearing dotted with wildflowers, their bright petals standing out against the greenery. She knelt to photograph a butterfly as it delicately landed on a bloom, its wings shimmering like stained glass. The deeper she went, the more the forest seemed to transform. The trees grew larger, their trunks twisted and gnarled, as though shaped by centuries of wind and rain. Vines draped from branches like natural curtains, and the air grew cooler, carrying a faint, sweet aroma. Maya felt a sense of reverence as she walked, as though she had entered the forest's sacred heart. In the late afternoon, she discovered something extraordinary, a massive tree standing alone in a small clearing. Its trunk was wide enough to dwarf the surrounding trees, and its roots spread out like the fingers of a giant hand, gripping the earth. The bark was etched with deep grooves, and its branches stretched high into the sky, their leaves forming a dense canopy that shimmered with golden light. Maya approached the tree slowly, her footsteps soft on the mossy ground. She reached out to touch the bark, its texture rough and cool under her fingers. This tree felt ancient, its presence commanding respect. She sat at its base, her back against the trunk, and let herself absorb the moment. The forest around her seemed to quiet, as if paying homage to this living monument. She took out her camera and began to document the tree from every angle. The way the light played on its bark, the intricate patterns of its roots, the sheer majesty of its height. Each shot felt like a tribute. Maya felt a deep connection to this place, as though the tree's history was intertwined with the forest's very soul. As evening approached, Maya set up camp near the tree. She built a small fire and prepared a meal of rice and lentils, the warm food a comfort against the cool night air. The firelight danced on the tree's bark, creating shifting patterns that seemed almost alive. Maya sat by the fire, her thoughts drifting as she gazed into the flames. The sounds of the forest at night were different here. The usual chorus of nocturnal creatures was softer, more subdued. It was as if the tree's presence demanded a quieter reverence. Maya wrapped herself in her blanket, staring up at the stars that peeked through the canopy. The Milky Way stretched across the sky, its brilliance a reminder of the vastness of the world beyond the forest. Before retreating to her tent, Maya spent some time reviewing her photographs. The tree, the stream, the butterfly, the iridescent birds. Each image was a fragment of the day's journey, a testament to the wonders she had encountered. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, her passion for capturing the wild reaffirmed with every frame. Inside her tent, Maya lay in her sleeping bag, the sounds of the forest a soothing backdrop. She closed her eyes, her mind filled with the day's discoveries. The forest had shared another piece of its heart with her, and she felt honored to be its witness. As sleep claimed her, Maya dreamed of the wilderness, her soul intertwined with its endless mysteries. The forest greeted Maya with a tender quietness on her final morning. The soft light of dawn filtered through the trees, painting the forest floor with hues of gold and green. The air carried a familiar coolness, tinged with the earthy scent of moss and leaves. Maya sat at the entrance of her tent, a steaming mug of coffee in her hands, her heart heavy with both gratitude and a touch of sadness. She gazed at the ancient tree standing tall nearby, its massive trunk and sprawling roots a symbol of the timelessness she had felt throughout her journey. This place had become more than a campsite. It was a sanctuary that had witnessed her moments of awe and introspection. Today, she would bid farewell to the wilderness that had become her home. Maya began her day with a slow walk through the forest, revisiting the places that had left the deepest impressions on her. She returned to the whispering woods, where the towering trees stood like silent sentinels, their carved markings still a mystery. She traced her fingers along the grooves of an ancient tree, silently thanking the forest for its wisdom. She found herself back at the stream, its waters sparkling in the soft morning light. Kneeling by the bank, she filled her flask and watched as small fish darted beneath the surface. The gentle gurgle of the water felt like a soothing farewell song. Maya took a moment to capture the scene, her camera clicking softly as she immortalized the beauty she had come to cherish. The meadow, with its vibrant wildflowers, was her next stop. The colors seemed even more vivid today, as if the forest knew this was her last visit. Maya knelt among the blossoms, her camera documenting the dance of bees and butterflies, flitting from petal to petal. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, letting the sweet fragrance fill her senses. As the sun climbed higher, Maya made her way back to her campsite. Her steps were slow, her gaze lingering on every detail, the delicate patterns of lichen on tree bark, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the play of sunlight through the canopy. She felt as though the forest itself was bidding her goodbye, each sound and sight a gentle reminder of its eternal rhythm. Back at her tent, Maya began to pack her belongings with care. Her camera, filled with thousands of images, was tucked safely into its case. Her gear, worn but reliable, carried the marks of her adventure: mud-streaked boots, a slightly frayed strap, and the faint scent of campfires. As she folded her tent and secured her backpack, a profound sense of gratitude washed over her. Before leaving, Maya sat by the ancient tree one last time. She leaned against its massive trunk, her hands resting on the rough bark. Closing her eyes, she listened to the sounds of the forest, the distant call of a bird, the whisper of leaves in the wind, and the soft hum of life all around her. She felt a deep connection to this place, as though the forest had shared its secrets with her and welcomed her into its world. As she stood to leave, a flicker of movement caught her eye. In the distance, a stag emerged from the shadows. Its antlers gleamed in the sunlight, and its gaze met hers with a calm, almost knowing presence. Maya raised her camera slowly, capturing the regal creature in all its glory. The stag lingered for a moment before retreating into the trees, leaving her with a sense of wonder and awe. The trek back to the forest's edge was a journey of reflection. Maya retraced her steps, pausing often to take in the sights and sounds that had become so familiar. When she reached the trailhead where her vehicle waited, she turned to look back one last time. The forest stood tall and quiet, its beauty untouched by her departure. Maya placed her gear in the back of her SUV, her fingers lingering on the camera case for a moment. As she started the engine, she felt a mix of emotions. The forest had changed her in ways she couldn't yet fully understand. It had taught her to slow down, to observe, to find joy in the smallest details. Her photographs would share its stories, inspiring others to see the wild with the same reverence she had come to feel. Driving away, Maya glanced at the rearview mirror, the forest fading into the distance. A smile played on her lips, her heart full of gratitude. She whispered a promise to return one day, to walk its trails again and uncover more of its mysteries. As the road stretched before her, the adventures of the past weeks played in her mind like a vivid reel. Each moment, each photograph was a testament to the magic of the wilderness. The forest's rhythms had become a part of her, its whispers echoing in her soul. And though her journey in the wild had come to an end, a new chapter was beginning, one filled with stories to tell, images to share, and a life forever enriched by the heart of the wilderness. Thank you for joining us on Story Planet. If you felt the whispers of the wild and the beauty of the wandering lens, consider giving a thumbs up. And if this journey brought you peace, feel free to share it with friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe for more relaxing tales every day. Wishing you a peaceful night and sweet dreams.